You've told me that you're actually an operator and a leader more than a CFO. And like that was something I really grasped onto because it resonates with me. I never like thought about myself at first as like I aspire to become a CFO. It ended up being what I was doing and I loved it. But like I think there's a type of person who sees the CFO seat as a way to make change and it just happens to be the title.
I didn't grow up saying one day I want to be a CFO. I wanted to be in the room where important decisions were being made and where I could play a really significant role in what was happening with the business. Finance became a language I could use to do that. I just found I naturally thought that way, and my mind gravitated towards thinking about value creation and trade-offs and capital allocation and risk and execution. But I never thought of myself as only a functional leader. And at OWN, we used to say we were a team of leaders who happened to be on the leadership team, happen to represent a functional area, not we're a bunch of functional leaders that happen to be on the leadership team. And I think that's a really important distinction to make. And that's how I've always tried to operate. Once you're on the leadership team, your job's to help the company win however best you can. And sometimes that means going deep in your lane. Sometimes it means having a point of view on product or go to market, people, strategy, sometimes culture. You need enough humility to know what you know, but the confidence to be able to speak about any of that.
It sounds like you were prioritizing for impact more than role.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, the title gives you a mandate, but the impact comes from how broadly you can actually help the company make better decisions. I think that's what being a CFO is all about.
So you chose to make Collab your next challenge. I'll start off with an easy one. What is Collab?
Our customers build the physical world around us, cars, aerospace components, medical devices, energy infrastructure, industrial equipment, all the stuff that helps make the modern world operate. Collab helps the engineering teams that design those things make better decisions faster.
Got it. I saw actually some motorcycle companies too on there. What attracted you to this industry opportunity after the OWN acquisition? I'm guessing you had some choices to make.
I had a couple, and I looked at taking on a new role a bit like being an investor, except I only get to make one of these decisions every couple of years.
You have one buy button for the next 4 years or more.
That's right. So it makes the stakes feel just a little bit higher. After OWN, I wanted 4 things. I wanted a great team, a large market, real customer pain, and a company where I felt like I'd really materially be able to impact the outcome. And I found all of that at Collab. The team had already been through a lot of the early company work that comes from early days. The culture was super strong. The market was enormous, and the problem felt very real. Engineering teams have been working with tools that haven't changed very much, at least not as much as the rest of software has. And so it felt like it was a really ripe opportunity.
Talk to me about the time. I think you joined after Series C. Is that right?
I did.
Why is that a good time for a CFO to join? I'm assuming that there's some stuff that has been figured out that's good, right? There's a balance sheet that you can check and stuff before you get on board, but it's also a pretty messy time.
It's still super messy. And I had the benefit that Collab was about the same scale as OWN was the day that I had joined there. So I sort of knew what I was getting myself into. I think it's a great stage for me because the company is big enough that the problems are real. And a lot of that early stage stuff is behind it, but the operating system is still being built. And that's really what I was brought in to help do.
And just to play it back, because there are a lot of people listening to the podcast who may be trying to get either their first CFO role or they're going for their second or third and they're assessing the opportunities that are out there. It sounds like there's a stage that certain people have almost like personal product market fit of like, this is a good size company for me to join.
Yeah, and we saw that a lot actually with a lot of employees through our journey at OWN as well, where there were folks who were really good at 0 to 1 stuff, and they might be really good at the 0 to 10 or maybe the 10 to 100. And I think that's okay. You can do that a couple times and actually build a pretty good career. One of the things I'm proudest of was scaling from about 10 million in ARR to almost 300, and it got to the point of the exit, and it was like we were running a different company every year, and the challenges are all a bit different. You try to keep the same operating system in your head, try to keep things simple, but the challenges you face along the way can be very different. And some people enjoy that challenge, and some people enjoy having to change how they do things. For other people, maybe not. So if I was giving advice to somebody looking for that first role, I don't think there's a one size fits all answer. Find a way in, figure out what you like, and go from there.
This funny thing happens when you have success is you get an opportunity to play what I would call a bigger game. Like, hey, you're the 10 to 300 guy. Do you want to be the 300 to a billion guy? It sounds like you said, I really enjoy this stage.
There's a lot that went into that decision. I think if you had asked me going into the search what I was looking for, I had my sights set on let me continue what I was doing, but the opportunity that Collab presented was just way too good to pass up. I really felt so passionately about the product. I really felt like I vibed with the team there really well. And again, it all came down to that's what really gets me out of bed every morning.
Here's a growth tax that nobody talks about. Every new pricing model you ship creates a nightmare for your finance team. Usage-based pricing, now you're tracking usage against commitments. Product bundles, now you're untangling what to recognize and when for every line item. Mid-cycle upgrades, good luck manually reallocating revenue. The pricing strategies that drive growth are the same ones that break your finance process. Right Rev turns that irony into a competitive advantage. Your product team can ship new pricing without asking finance for permission, and your sales team can close deals without worrying about downstream chaos. But I've seen too many companies where sales are celebrating a huge quarter while finance is still trying to figure out how to recognize half of it. It's actually me. So here's a good place to start. RightRev built a free tool at calculator.rightrev.com. It scores your RevRec process, shows what's exposing you to risk, and tells you exactly where to focus before it bites you in the rear. Probably explains why your last close took so long. Check it out at calculator.rightrev.com. All right, without the Boston accent, calculator.rightrev.com.